All right, there we go. What's happening, y'all? What's happening, y'all? Many of you may know me, many new to me. My name is KPW. I'm a hip-hop artist based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, originating from Herndon, Virginia, the good old East Coast. No, I do not do this often. Trying something new. What I want to discuss is my stance on the Kendrick and Drake feud. The very highly consumed, very highly observed, very highly spectated Kendrick and Drake feud. If you follow me on social media and you happen to also follow me on my YouTube, you might have noticed that I didn't comment much on this thing, if at all. And the reason for that is because, of course, offline I've had several discussions about it. I've been an observer just like anybody else. I'm a fan of hip hop just like anybody else. I was a fan of hip hop before I became an artist, just like anybody else. But the fact of the matter is, the reason for not wanting to heavily involve myself in discussions online surrounding the beef is because, and I really don't like to use the word beef either, by the way, because that's something that is connected to the streets. It's more serious, and it's a very loosely used word in connection to things that have nothing to do with actual beef. So I try to be careful with that. But the fact of the matter is this: as a consumer of hip hop, obviously I'm going to pay attention to what's going on, especially as it pertains to artists that we grew up on, or in my case, artists such as Drake and Kendrick that I didn't grow up on now because I'm in their age bracket, so I was an adult when they first hit the scene, or at least when they first gained popularity. They're only a couple of years younger than me, but they still caught that range of time that we can consider to be at the tail end of what we came up on. Those of us in my age group, those of us in my age group can be considered to have come up on. Whenever we see things going on with artists that we've been tuned into for a long time, or that we just gravitate towards in general, we are going to pay attention. We're going to have the discussions. We're going to talk about what's going on, who we think's got it in terms of who's winning the battle, whatever the case may be. And that's what we'll refer to it as, by the way, is a battle, because it really is a hip hop battle, and that's rooted in hip hop. You know, the battle is something that is really important to the competitive nature. I keep hitting this fucking mic. The battle is something that's really important to the competitive nature of hip hop. But the reason why online I really didn't speak on this thing is because of the fact that as an artist, I think there's a thin line between remaining in your operation as an artist who has an audience, who has a presence, who has a brand, and wants to maintain that brand or build that brand depending on where you are, and being a consumer, being a fan, fanning out. Obviously there are different degrees of that too. And what I observed a lot of is people who were consuming all of their time, at least online now. I don't know what goes on offline with, how people spend their time or what they're doing in regards to their art, right? How much time they're spending talking about the feud and what it might be taking away from the time that they spend on their craft. But the fact of the matter is, perception is, I wouldn't say everything, but it's a great deal of what people gauge you to be. And in order to maintain my brand, I wouldn't have felt that it was right to continue talking about this and to overshadow what I've got going on, speaking on other artists who are already established. You know, it's definitely obviously not a hate thing, but it's more so the fact that as soon as a bigger artist is mentioned, even within the conversation that you might be trying to have about your own craft, that attention gets taken away from what you're intending to do to boost your own product, your own song, video, whatever it is, whatever endeavor that you have going on surrounding your art. And I just didn't want to do that. I won't even front. I had a vertical video that I released. You should go watch it right now. It's called Lane, from a song off my 2022 album, No Dogma. Go peep that right now. It's right here. But I dropped that on the weekend of the release that everything peaked in terms of these diss tracks that Drake and Kendrick are releasing. So 616 in LA came out on the Friday. I think, what was that? And May 2nd, somewhere around there. Let's see. Friday, May 3rd. 616 in LA drops May 3rd during the day, I think in the morning. Family Matters drops that night, and Meet the Grams drops 20 minutes later. The next day, May 4th, I put out my vertical video around 3 p.m. Then, am I forgetting anything? 616 LA, yeah. I dropped my vertical video at 3 p.m. Saturday, May 4th. Then Meet the Grams, not Meet the Grams. They Not Like Us drops, I think that afternoon or that evening. So ain't nobody paying attention to no independent artists that they know personally when everybody is spending their time talking about this battle. But at the same time, a lot of the people that I saw discussing this thing were other artists. So the only thing happening is not necessarily that my shit's not getting traction, and I'm not worried about that at all. I mean, let's be clear about that. I mean, the organic growth is going to be the organic growth, and the effort that I put in is going to be the effort that I put in. You know, there ain't no blame there. But my point is, the conversation does shift. Just like this mic. The conversation does shift, and the result seemed to be that attention was shifting from people's own crafts the more and more this battle ramped up to what was going on the larger stage. And look, the discussion is healthy, right? We're hip-hop heads, we're hip-hop fans. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but we're hip-hop fans. We're consumers of the craft. We love this shit, at least I do. So we're naturally going to talk about it. What was important to me was being strategic as far as how I consumed it and how I did it. And I could have, for example, easily said to myself, you know what, this battle is at its peak. A bunch of disses have dropped in the last 24 hours. Let me hold off releasing my own shit because ain't nobody gonna pay attention to it. Everybody wants to hear Drake and Kendrick. But I didn't do that. Because no matter what's going on, I decided to focus on my craft. And if you're not on my email list, you should get on it because I sent an email about that same weekend too, or maybe the following Monday it was. No matter what's going on, it's important to stay focused on the craft. Again, to be clear, the battle is essential to hip hop. It's an important part of the sport. The competitive nature sharpens the swords, etc., etc. Hell, I was actually just part of a Cypher based in the Twin Cities called Gladiator School a couple of weeks before that. And that was April 13th to be exact. That was the same day that Push-Ups dropped, the unofficial version of Push-Ups dropped. And I know that pushed people competitively the day that we had that Cypher. It wasn't a battle. And there actually wasn't any battling allowed, at least from what I understand. I know that was the case with previous installments of the Gladiator School Cypher on April 13th that we participated in. And if you haven't checked it out, or if you don't know about it, go to the Revamped Media YouTube channel and check out Gladiator School Volume 5. Matter of fact, check out 1 through 4 because we've got some serious MCs in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. But I digress. The point I'm making with that is that on that same day, Push-Ups dropped by Drake, the unofficial version. It had a lot of people debating as to whether or not they thought it was AI or whether it was a leaked song that Drake actually did. And of course, a few days later, the actual version dropped. Or within the week, the actual version dropped with a somewhat modified version. But that type of thing gets the pen sharpened for anybody who's listening and who gets inspired by wordsmiths, by penmanship. And some people argue about the ghostwriting and whatnot, and that's cool. But the point is, hearing that audio, that competition, and that competitive nature going back and forth, it influences MCs. That's a good thing. The whole point I'm making is that getting too immersed. Somebody walking behind my fucking house. The point I'm making is that getting so immersed in this thing to the point where you start to prioritize the conversations around this as opposed to focusing on your own craft can be detrimental. Not only that, but it can create a perception to others that see you that you are easy to take out of your focus and automatically become a fan, and solely a fan. I think it's important to remain in a state of being taken seriously. I think it's important to remain in a state of being taken seriously at all times as an artist that's developing or that has a brand. Because the moment that you stop doing that, you look easy to distract, and the seriousness level that people have for you begins to diminish. That's just my take on things. Y'all tell me what you think. Until then, my name is KPW. Again, appreciate y'all watching. KPWHipHop.com is where you want to go to get everything KPW. Music, movies, merch, services in the form of radio edits and cover art. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button on that video below. Take a look at some of my other videos at the end screen here. Hit the notification bell for when I upload new videos such as this one and other videos of me rapping and things of that nature. I'm out. Peace. KPW.